I think especially in the beginning, I wanted to look very passable womanly.
Okay.
Like I wanted to be, especially when the straight guys started to come, I was like, oh no, I need to be passable. I need to be a close-up queen. And that's what I would call it. I'm like, I need to look okay close up. And like, I can get some of these dudes.
Hello, my name is Kay Anderson, and you are listening to Lost Spaces, the podcast that mourns the death of queer nightlife. Every episode, I talk to a different person about a venue from their past, the memories they created there, and the people that they used to know. This week, we are catching up with Pandora Boxx, drag queen superstar and contestant on RuPaul's Drag Race Season 2, as well as All Stars 1 and 6. And we are going to find out all about her early days in drag. Back in the 90s, she was one of the top performers at Club Marcella, a drag bar in Rochester, New York, that rode on the crest of the wave of that decade's drag explosion, and courted a straight clientele. We talk about falling in love with straight men, embracing her inner slut, and I find out about the pettiest fight that she ever got into with a fellow queen. And so let's get on to this straight men thing. So you were interested in passing. You were interested in getting them a bit excited. Were you actively pursuing them?
Yes. Well, let's just say I had my own private dressing room downstairs. So there came a point in time where these guys that would have, the type of guy that would have picked on me in high school were suddenly all about me and wanting to be sexual with me. And it was kind of, it was a very nice power trip, I guess. Because it was just like, oh, what? What? This can happen? So, yes, I did live out my full fantasy.
Okay, and so just to be clear, it was men who were like the people who bullied you in high school, not the men who bullied you in high school.
Yes,
okay.
like not the. I don't know what happened to them. Hopefully.
Oh, because that would be like a total ego trip, wouldn't it?
My God, I wish that had happened, because that would have been great memory to have forever. But it was just the type of like the jocks and the kind of people like that I never kind of fit in with. I'm like, oh wow, like okay.
But is it one of those things that like maybe this isn't quite the right saying, but like the grass is always greener. Like you think that they're going to be really interesting and funny and cool, and then you're just like, oh, you're kind of dull.
Yes, there was definitely, like, it was just fun, and I would do it. I'm like, who cares? I'm like, these guys are hot. And then I would get attached when I said I wouldn't. So I dated a lot of, quote, straight guys, and yeah, and they all ended badly. Except one didn't end badly. We just broke up. So he was a good one. But the rest were like not very kind to me.
So like, was it like this kind of secretive, like, I'll ring you, you don't ring me, and that kind of cloak and dagger type thing?
It was such a weird mixture with some of them. It was, they were the ones that always said, well, I want you to be my boyfriend. And I'm like, okay, but you're straight. And I think a lot of it was their families would never be accepting of it. And they, in turn, weren't totally accepting about it themselves. And it just created a lot of extra drama in my life on both ends. And
is it that kind of head fuck situation where someone is like love bombing you and like telling you how great you are and how amazing you are, and then ghosting you the next week?
Yeah, it was kind of like they want to be my boyfriend, they want to hang out. And then sometimes part of it I realized too is like, oh, well, because I'm really well known at this club and it's the hot spot. And of
Ah.
course, you're going to get to come to the club for free and you're going to meet all the people you want to meet. And, them telling me, oh, I love you this. Then they're trying to sleep with all my friends. and,
Oh, okay.
and yeah, and just, not a healthy relationship because they're also not going to come out. Yeah, and then I realized I was dating the same person in a different body for a while. I was like, okay, this is exactly the same situation I am getting myself into. I think that this needs to
Yeah,
end.
but I mean, like, going back to the point I made earlier, sometimes that drama, that like all-consuming drama it's just what you need. It's just fun.
Yeah, I think that too, you can become addicted to the drama of it all. And I think I was. I think that if there wasn't that kind of drama or chaos in my life, something was
Mm.
wrong. Like, I'm like, I kind of guess, like, I don't know if I never was consciously thinking, oh, I like the drama, but I think I got so used to the drama that it's like I kind of sought it out because then it's like, oh my God, there's drama. It's like all about me. It's all this. And it's exhausting. I'd much rather just watch some dramatic thing on TV. I don't want any drama in my life at this
Yeah,
point.
but when you're at that age, it's like, oh God, I can't believe I just said that. Okay, so this is old man K. And like when you're at that age, when you're in your like 20s and you're just like, yeah, it's just like this thrill of the drama. You just run for it. So the other question that I wanted to ask was, in the dressing room, did anyone ever walk in on you?
I don't think so because I had a lock on the door that worked, but I did walk in on Darian once because her lock did not work and I knocked and I was like, "Hey girl, oh, I'm just gonna close this door and I'm gonna okay." And then later she apologized. She's like, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry. You had to." I'm like, Girl, it's fine. It doesn't matter." And I think if we weren't roommates at the time, because Darian and I have been roommates, and I've known Darian since. She's the reason I started doing drag, so I've known Darian for so long. So I really didn't care. It was kind of funny to me because she's like, "Oh, my lock doesn't work." I'm like, I know that now. I fully know. I will not do that again.
So let's talk about Darian then. So you said that she got you into drag. Was that like she was already doing it and you happened to know her, or what happened?
Yeah, I don't know. One day I was walking on the street and I got knocked out and I woke up and I was in drag and Darian was standing over me laughing.
Sprinkling glitter on you.
But actually, yeah, there's a thing called the Park Avenue Festival in Rochester, New York, which is, Park Ave is kind of like an artsy street and there's a lot of shops. And every year they would do a Park Ave Fest and have booths set up. The street would be closed down. And one year they had a drag show outside on somebody's porch. I didn't know what a drag show was or anything like that. I got introduced to Darian Lake before as Darian Lake, but I didn't know why they were calling her that because she's a bigger girl. And I also wasn't sure if she was a lesbian or what. And all I kept thinking is, because Darian Lake, I have to preface this to you, Darian Lake is a theme park that's near Rochester, New York.
Okay.
So I thought it was this terrible nickname they were calling her because she's a big girl and they're naming her a theme park. And I was like, that's so rude. Why would you do that? And then I saw the show.
Not because that she was a ride.
That could be it too. I didn't think that, but no. And then I saw her perform and I went, oh my God, I get it all now. Now I understand. And wait, people are giving her money to lip sync a song, and I'm doing that in my bedroom already. So how do I want to do that. I want to do that. And then she definitely helped me out a lot. She did my makeup for much longer than she wanted to because I just remember her doing my makeup and kind of scowling as she was doing it one night. I'm like, I think it's time. I need to learn how to do my eyes myself because she's not having it anymore.
Do you remember that first night when you performed, the first time when it was open?
I don't really, because I think it's because the club was open for, oh my God, like 7, 8, between 7 and 9 years.
So there's blurry memories from there, yeah.
Yeah, it all kind of mushes together because of how many shows. Yeah, I was there every week. I don't even think I took much time off, so I was always there. And then at one point, I became the show director of the show, and it was, I mean, there was a lot of drama, but it was
Oh.
a lot of shows. But it started to.
Okay, no.
Yeah,
So let's pick at this. Let's pick at this. So lots of drama. Is this just like herding cats?
Well, there was lots of drama within the cast. I will say that probably at any given moment, one of us hated the other one.
Ah, okay.
For various reasons. And most, you think about them now and they're not. It
No,
doesn't even matter.
of course, but that's the best kind of grudge, isn't it? So you weren't like, I'm going to distance myself from this because I'm the director and I'm going to be professional. You were right in there holding grudges and being petty.
Oh, no, I tried not to be, but I don't know. Some of my other castmates might have different stories, but I know that there was. I mean, I can say it now because people know, and we do talk. Aggie Dune was one of the cast members, and her and I notoriously did not get along for quite a while. There was a falling out, and yes, we got in some arguments backstage. And one of them was one of them she was dressed as Cher, so it's even funnier in my memory because it was kind of like having an argument with Cher.
What kind of era of Cher?
Oh, it was 80s Cher. It was like the big Cher hair.
The best, yeah.
Yeah, and
Oh, today I was just out walking, and someone went past me on their bicycle and had speakers on their bike and was playing "Believe" by Cher really loud.
I love that.
Just walking down the canal, just like, oh, okay, hello. Anyway, so was it just like your personalities were quite similar and you were clashing, or?
No, I think there was a lot of jealousy in that show because the show became really popular and they had our faces on billboards and we were on the radio and we were kind of like locally famous, as I put it in air quotes. And, there was always that, who's more popular that night. And I think with her and I, it was just it really just stemmed from her and Darian. Darian Lake was also one of the founders of this cast. We used to record them and they would play the videos and they were making fun of me. And I walked up and kind of saw them and just went, because we make fun of everybody. And I'm like, oh, why wouldn't I think that they're making fun of me? And I just said, you're just making fun of me. And Darian was like, yes. And I was like, okay. But Aggie didn't say anything. And I was kind of like, oh, why isn't she saying anything? And so it kind of made me just, I don't know, that was like the stem of it. Like, wait, so why can't you just say it? And then it just spiraled. And there's probably other things. And little things back and forth.
So this isn't about you and Aggie. This is just about like everyone that was in the bar. Do you remember the most petty fight that was had?
The most petty fight. It probably is between Aggie and I, and it's one that everybody still talks about and still says it because it was that argument, and I don't even know because it really had gotten so out of hand, like between us, like just that I don't even think at one point either of us even remembered why we didn't like the other one. Like it was just so, for a while, it was not good. And I don't remember what was said, but it's when she was dressed as Cher and I was walking off stage and I think she said something to me and I said something to her and she called me a big nose queen. And I was like, big nose queen. And I was like, honey, you ain't nothing but old. And then she had to go out on stage dressed as Cher and do her number because they announced her right after I said that.
The emphasis is on the third old, right?
Yes, because I said it very dramatically. And now that I'm older, I'm like, oh, all right. Well, but also I knew that she was sensitive about it, so I was like, okay. And it was in the heat of the moment. I just said it. And it's not even that great of a line. That's why I'm like, oh God, why does everyone have to remember this lame fight? But I think we all remember it because it was so lame. Like thinking back,
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
funny and silly, and not at the time. At the time, we were very upset.
Yes, never speak to her again. She's a terrible person. Yeah, I
Oh,
understand.
I'm sure there was definitely said, either she goes or I go, that kind of
Oh, wow. Oh,
kind of drama.
ultimatums. Ah.
I know that was said. I don't know if I don't think it was not said by me, but I know it was said. But yeah, it was kind of yes, it was bad. But bad for no reason. Like it's really just like, oh my God, come on. Like if I was go back, I would just be like, come on. Let's be
Yeah.
adults here. Let's let it go. It's not that big of a deal.
Yeah, but there is something delicious about having a grudge.
We did for a long time. But
and so you work together now. So you just
yeah.
maybe
Oh no,
I shouldn't
yeah,
ask
I
these
don't even know.
questions.
We haven't had a grudge for quite a while, but sometimes Kasha still makes fun of it, like because Kasha Davis and Darian Lake were performing a brunch here in LA, and I was going to come out and see them, and Aggie happened to be in town doing work, so she came to see and then we were sitting next to each other, and Kasha was like, "Oh my God, you're sitting next to each other!" Like made a big deal out of it, and it's like, girl, that's been over for a while. None of it really mattered. Like, it doesn't matter. It mattered then because in your mind, it's just, you're so like, oh my, and in this situation, but it does not matter now.
Yeah. And it's that thing when you're colleagues as well. You don't have any distance from each other. So you don't have any perspective. You're just like in it.
Yeah, and it was Rochester. It's like eventually you're going to have to get along because it's not that big of a city. So you're going to, and you're like two of the top drag queens in the city. You're gonna work together again.
So that grudge is done. Who have you got a grudge on at the moment?
I don't have a grudge on anyone.
Oh.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I have grudges against politicians and horrible people, like horrible racist people and all that kind of stuff. But I don't have any grudge on any drag queens.
Oh, okay.
As far as I know. I mean, maybe if somebody will like hear this and go, no, I have a grudge with you, bitch.
Just like roll their sleeves up, get into it. Yeah. And so this strategy that the club had to appeal to straight people, was that successful?
It actually was. It took a little bit of time to kind of build up, and they advertised it. And I think they did a 98 Pigs was the major radio station in Rochester, and I believe they advertised on there. They did it in the paper, and they were really, a lot of the ads were like, "We can't believe they're not women," kind of thing. Like it's like,
oh wow, like really old fashioned, yeah.
Oh wow, and there was those people that came were wowed by it, but then once they came and saw that it was more than just like, I mean, it was a gimmick to get them in to say that, but they realized that the show was good and they enjoyed it, and there was people that came like week after week, so it really took off. And at some points it was like predominantly straight, like at some nights, and it's like, oh wow, this is kind of amazing.
Was there anyone who was pissy about it?
About all the straight people that would come? Yeah, of course. There's always people that are going to complain about too many straight people being there and all that. But it's also like our point of view was, well, then come to the shows every night. Like if we wanted people to come to the show, and if the queer community isn't going to support us and come to these shows, we need people that are going to come. And we want people that are going to come every week and be supportive and be amazed by it and enjoy it.
Mm.
And also it was for money too. It was like to make more money. We were like, we need to broaden this horizon because it's a small community and we want to get other people involved.
Mm.
And on the best nights that it was there, it was mixed and nothing ever happened. Like it was just like people didn't give a shit. You could be whoever you wanted to be there, and it didn't matter.
As a performer, and this is just a general question, like, do you notice the difference between a straight or, like a fully homo audience and then one that's mixed?
Yes, it depends on what type of show I'm doing, but yeah, I feel like a queer audience maybe is a little more vocal
Okay.
and, quite into it. And not that a straight audience isn't, but it's a little bit different. And certainly different jokes will go over better for a
Elaborate.
straight audience than a gay audience.
Elaborate.
Well, I mean, there's certain, straight people aren't going to get some of the queer references made.
And the fisting jokes.
Right. I mean, some of them probably get that. But yes, it's that kind of humor they don't get. But also, it's kind of sometimes easier to make a straight audience laugh because you just do like some kind of dick joke or those kind of stuff, and they're just going to immediately laugh. And gay people are probably like, "Oh yeah, we've heard it."
So they're less discerning about their dick jokes. You heard it here first.
I don't know. I mean, I prefer like a mixed audience myself, but no, I do like the gays to be in there because they generally are laughing and having a good time already.
Who tips better, the queers or the straights?
That is a tough question. I don't actually know. I will say that the straights, especially the girls, sometimes like to get up on stage and think they're a pole dancer when they're tipping you. and that's no thank you. We don't need to see that drunk girl. Yeah, it just depends. I think that because it's so ingrained in the queer culture, I think that they probably tip better because they're more likely to come up there and give a bunch of dollars. And I don't know the exact history of tipping and why it was a drag queen thing, but I really think that it stems from an appreciation to show, I appreciate you, you're here, thank you for doing it. And also because it's like drag is expensive. So it's like, here, girl, take $1, go buy a wig.
Get a lace front wig, yeah.
Yes.
And what was that like then, being local famous, like being on the radio and being on billboards and people kind of knowing who you were, but not knowing who you were because they knew your drag character and not you?
Yeah, it was really exciting. It was kind of like something I didn't know drag could be, and certainly hoped, because what RuPaul got what seemed unattainable. Like, it was like, how do you, I mean, I don't know how you would do this. And I was always knew of like Lady Bunny and Coco Peru and all of those queens that were like New York City kind of famous. And I thought, well, maybe that, but then I'd have to move to New York City and start over. So it was really cool. It was cool to be on the radio and to get recognized and noticed and to find out just how many people came to the show and loved it and knew of us. And definitely cool to have my face on a billboard outside the club. And it's funny because it's ridiculous because I can't believe I did it. But my boyfriend and I at the time were going out of the basement, and these basement stairs were terrifying and scary. I thought I was going to die in them because they're all rickety, and I don't know how somebody didn't. And the door to open it had to be propped open, and if it went closed, you couldn't get out because there was no handle on the other side. So you could be trapped in the basement. Gosh. So one night it went closed, and we were banging on the door and nobody was opening because there was a little like green room area, and everybody was probably fucked up on drugs. And so we walked out the back door, which the back door goes to an alley and it goes around back to the front. So I was out of drag, and we come back, we go there, and there's a security guard working who I didn't really know. And usually I knew everybody, and I still to this day don't remember who it was. And I don't think he worked there very long, maybe because of this. But we didn't have any ID or anything because it's like, and I didn't have like, any bracelet or anything on because I work there, and we were going to get in the club and he was stopping us. And I'm like, no, I work here. I'm Pandora. I'm one of the drag queens. Well, how do I know that? And was just really rude and wasn't going to let us back in. And I was like, are you fucking kidding me right now? I literally just did the show and now you're not letting me in. And he was such a dick. And I said to him and pointed to the billboard, like by the club, I'm like, is your fucking face on a billboard? Let me in the goddamn club. And I was like, oh my God, what a diva. But I was pissed. And probably a little drunk.
Yeah, I thought you were going to be saying, don't you know who I am? Which is the typical.
It was close to it was right there. It was basically saying the same thing.
Amazing. Did you just like storm past him then afterwards?
I think I did, or I think another security guard like told him and was like, dude, like I was like, come on now. Like this night wouldn't be busy if it wasn't for us. So give me a break. I mean, I guess he was trying to do his job,
but fuck him. If you're out there, Mr. Security Man, fuck you.
Yeah.
So tell me about their performances. What was your act at that time?
It was, I don't know, I had like a little sexy phase where I had broken up I had a boyfriend for like 2 years while I was there who was gay, not one of the straight ones. And it wasn't a very good relationship.
I'm spotting a pattern here.
To put it mildly. Yes. I will add to it, in case anyone is not aware, I have been with my partner now for 15 years. So
okay, just rub it in.
I definitely figured it out. Finally, after all of like these bad relationships, it was not a good fit. But after I broke up with him, or we broke up, and it was a bad breakup, it was like my sexual awakening, I guess. Because that's when I was, you know what I'm going to be? I'm going to be a slut. I'm going to be a blonde slut on stage, and all my numbers are going to be blonde and slutty, and I'm going to get these straight guys to like me in the audience, and that's how I'm going to make my money. I'm going to be basically a stripper.
Solid move, yeah.
So I had that phase, and yeah, and Marcella's kind of had to be something they know, or sometimes top 40, just because like if you did something too obscure, they wouldn't know what it was. And at one point, I used to write down every number I made and how much I made in tips for every number, and kind of kept a log of everything. And I went back and looked at it like years after I had started it. And sometimes I couldn't figure out why some of these numbers weren't going over and why I wasn't making as much money as the rest of the queens. And I looked at the list and I'm like, well, girl, you're doing some obscure Tori Amos song to an audience of straight people. So that's probably one of the reasons why it's not going over. Like, do things people know, and you're probably going to do better. And when I realized that, you know what, it worked. I did better. Once I was like, okay, it can't be just for me every night. I got to think about what the audience wants.
Can we just talk about this log that you kept? Because that's pretty impressive. So were you just like writing down, performed this song tonight, made this much money?
Yeah, it was just I wrote down the nights and the numbers and tips. And also it was because at a certain point I was doing like 3 shows a week. And originally we had to do 4 numbers in the show. We had to do 2 numbers in the first set, 2 numbers in the second set. And on Fridays it was 3 numbers. Wednesdays I did like 2, but I hosted it so I could be kind of flexible.
Or like, I'm not feeling it tonight.
Although I wanted to get tips, so I'm like, I have to do numbers. And it was really just a way to remember what the hell I was doing, like week to week, so I wasn't repeating numbers that often.
So you didn't like make a graph or like some pie charts or something? Like, this song is this much of the pie?
No.
Aww.
I know. And you know what? I got rid of that book like a few years back. And when I think about it now, I'm like, oh, why did I?
Yeah, you should have kept that. Would have been amazing,
because that's just, I know. And it was in a Spice Girls notebook too.
I had a Spice Girls notebook. And so we meandered. You were telling me about your slutty phase. What songs were you performing then?
Oh gosh, the first one I did, which was I just remember because it was not the Pandora I guess people were used to. It was a little.
Was this like a Britney, the sexual phase that Britney went through, and like, well, all teen princesses do, don't they?
Yeah, I was doing like kind of like funny numbers, and like I would have these funny mixes and do that kind of stuff, and
Tori Amos.
Yeah, not really like dance too much, because I mean I'm not like a dance dancer, but it's like, but I don't know. I guess I felt a little repressed by this relationship because I didn't like. Oh, that's probably another thing too. I didn't drink, I think, for like 2 years of the relationship, and I was like, I just want to have fun and party, and I felt like I wasn't myself in that relationship. And he kind of left me for somebody else too, so there was a little bit of that of like, well, I'm going to show that I am hot, bitch. and
This is what you are missing out on.
I did this song called Sick and Beautiful by Artificial Joy Club, and it's very...
Oh,
Oh, you know it?
hang on. Yes. And no, wait, how does I'm beautiful like me? No. Is that...
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, no. I'm thinking of another song.
No. You're right. I'm sorry. You are thinking of the song, but I know what song you're thinking of, but I can't think of it.
Oh, what is that one? If I was beautiful like you.
Yeah.
What is that one? Anyway, sorry. So Artificial Joy Club is a different band completely.
Yes. And I did that song, and it's kind of like gritty, rocky, slutty, and I just did it. And I moved, and I did moves that I had not ever done before, and turned up the sexual things to people tipping me, and I think I made out with a guy during the number. In fact, I know I did. It was somebody I did know. No, maybe I didn't even know him. He was just really cute. And I was like, I didn't just grab him. Like, I looked and I'm like, he'll kiss me. and slowly did it. And
that's so risky though, because what if he was just like, get off me, and threw you
well,
on?
yes.
That would have been the performance all over.
But I knew that like there was that connection, so I knew like there was permission there. Like it was definitely not like, I'm just gonna kiss you. And
just go with it.
I think he had definitely hit on me earlier in the night. I think that's how I knew him. Like he was into it. So and then and I knew that my boyfriend at the time was there, and it was my ex at that point.
Your ex.
And so I was like, I'm going to show a completely different side. And once I did it, and I saw how it went over, I was like, that's it. Here we go. And I think also it was a shift in music that was coming out. Because for a while, it was all very grungy and a few pop songs here and there. But then it was like, Britney came out, and there were more of these like pop princessy songs that it was just pop music became more fun. So all the music that was popular was a lot more fun, so you could have more fun with the music. And I was having fun being a slut.
Well, yeah, I mean, why? Yeah, of course you would. And so you went like in that direction then, that Britney, Christina, Jessica.
Yeah, and I mean, and Madonna, and I still...
oh, of course, Madonna, sorry.
And I still had fun. I still did funny comedy things, because I just feel like that's what I have fun doing as well. So I kind of went in that direction. I think that with the cast that we had too, everybody kind of had a slightly different style. So I think that's why the show worked really well, because there was something for everybody's kind of style of music and drag. And
and you saw a slutty gap in the market.
And nobody was really doing like pop slut. So I was like, hey, I'm going to be the pop slut, you guys. I'm going to be comedy pop slut.
and did you start seeing a marked increase in your tips that you were recording in your ledger?
You know what? Funny thing is, yes.
What was the song that was guaranteed to fire people up?
Oh, Baby One More Time. Britney Spears.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I did that.
Obvious choice, of course.
All the time, because every time I went out there, I would make a shit ton of money. That one, and like You Ought to Know, Alanis Morissette. God, I'm trying to think of like ones that I was just like, it's fine. I know I just did this last week, but guess what? And sometimes there was that race to kind of claim these songs because we knew if it was really popular at the moment, people were just going to throw money at you. It didn't really matter. They just love the song, and they're just going to like, here, just take all this money. Take all my money. And Darian actually did Baby One More Time first, because Darian is the queen of finding these new pop song hits right as they're hitting or right before. Like she did them first, all of them. But she didn't really want to do the songing. So I was like, I'll do it. I'll do it, you guys.
And I've heard that there's often beef, there's often fights about people who do the same song as someone else. Did you get into any of those?
Oh, yeah, all the time. And there was definitely, that happened a lot. People would be like, oh my God, that's my song. And there were certain songs that people were like, that's mine. And Heather
So how does
Sky.
that conversation happen though? Like, is it when you're coming off stage and like you've just performed their song and then they like come up to you and like, I can't believe you
No,
did my song.
no, it's very the opposite, where they'll just tell somebody else that they're pissed about it. And you find out that way. And Heather Sky and I, who another queen that her and I kind of didn't really get along for years because she is actually the first person that ever put me in drag. And it was at the drag party, but I was dating her ex-boyfriend at the time, and they weren't really exes, which I didn't know because I was very naive. And so there was a lot of, she didn't like me for obvious reasons. And then I don't know, we were always kind of arguing, but mostly her and I's arguments only happened through other people. Like, I don't ever really remember having like a physical talk with her, like any kind of that fight. It was always just, he said this whispers back, and she's pissed about that. And there was a night that she wanted to do a song and I wanted to do the same song, and then I had to relent to give her the song. And it was just behind, but nothing between us. It was between Wendy, the owner, and she kind of was the liaison between it, and it was a big drama. And I mean, it's so stupid now. And the thing is, Heather and I did sit down at one point and had a conversation about everything, because it was kind of like we had never really just sat down and talked to each other. And I said, I feel like if this guy that dicked us both over wasn't in the equation, we probably would have been friends. We probably would have gotten along. And it was good we had that talk, because after that we got along, and we realized it doesn't really matter. So
yeah,
there was a lot of competition at that club. Like I said before, just to have everybody wanted that spotlight. So there was that undercurrent going on.
That hunger. Can you imagine being Wendy and being a bar owner and then having to be like, so I just need to let you know that you're not allowed to do that song because this person's doing that song, and you can maybe do this song, but that person, like, could you imagine if that was your job?
Yes, she used her friendship against me.
Ooh.
Well, I say this because we were friends, so she
knew
came
how to
to
push
me.
her buttons, right?
She came to me and asked me to just please pick another song, because Heather didn't have that many songs that she does. And also she's like, it's just going to save so much if you just don't do it. And I know that you have a lot of things you could do, and just, can you do that? And I was like, pissed, disgruntled. And then later I'm like, who the fuck cares? Just, it doesn't matter. Like, it literally doesn't matter. Like, now I think about it, and if somebody was doing the song I was doing, I'd be like, well, all right, what else well, let's figure it out.
Oh no, you would just be like, I'll just go on and do it better.
I have gone out of town places though, sometimes, like traveling for Drag Race and whatnot, and I have run into a situation where the queen was going to do the song I was going to do, and did not want to do something else. And it's literally like, I mean, I'll change mine, but I'm literally like, you guys paid me a lot of money to be here, and I okay, girl, what? If you need to have that song, if you want to pee on it and make it your own, and you don't want me to do it, that's fine, girl.
Oh, I just love to be in the room when the penny drops for everyone. Like, so what song are you doing tonight? Oh, I'm doing this song. And then just like all of the air like sucks out of the room at once. That must be exciting.
Yes. Oh yeah. I've definitely been there where it's like, what? Oh, okay.
Oh, ridiculous and amazing. The thing I didn't ask about that first performance after you'd slutted it up and you went out and performed to Artificial Joy Club, you said your ex was in the room at the time.
Mm-hmm.
What is that like?
I didn't even know if he actually watched the number, because I knew that he was still going to the club. And also he brought the guy that he was now dating. And they would come and hang out.
Like, what nerve? Like, what?
They would come and hang out at the shows they knew I was doing. So it's always just like, well, but you can't let me just work, and so, okay, you have to come here.
But so is this like a small town thing? Like there was no other options and that was the only place that they could go out? Or was it like just being a dick?
There were other bars. I mean, definitely it's a drag show and it's busy, so people want to go there. But there were definitely other places to go. I think it was just to be a dick, basically, because Because you knew I'm performing. It's like, why would you come out and like flaunt this new relationship when you know it's been terrible, shitty for me? And I mean, I don't know. I've never had that conversation
Yeah,
with him
yeah.
about
Ugh.
that particular incident. But I actually was hoping he was looking at me because I was like, bitch,
Well, that's what I was going to ask. Like, so there's kind of
here's the new me.
there's two tactics you can take, and one is like just like ignore everyone in the audience and hope that you don't kind of somehow spot him when you're performing, or look out for him and like make him eat it. So you were in the latter category then.
Yes, and I don't know if I don't remember if he actually saw it. But this is the bad thing too about working at the most popular club and people want to go to the shows is that it happened to me a lot with a lot of these exes that would come in and they would come up and they would tip me, and it's like, why are you here? Why are you doing this to me? Because you know I can't do anything. Like you're giving me like, why? Why do you have to come and do this? Don't give me $1. Don't tip me.
So, do you remember hearing about the bar closing?
The drug scene in Rochester, New York became quite large, and
Oh.
ecstasy was a very popular drug at the time, and the city was kind of cracking down on some of the clubs that they thought were a haven for these drugs, and Marcella's was targeted, and because they were doing raves, it had become so popular. It was very straight on other nights too at this point, and did not always feel like a safe space on Saturday nights. And
Ah.
the shows were still good, but it just this other subculture kind of started to take over. And I know that there were at some point they got put under a conditional license, and so if anything happens under that, you're basically fucked. And I don't remember exactly what the incident was, but the police came and then they basically they shut the club down. But
Ah.
I knew, and a couple other people in the club knew that it seemed like the writing was on the wall at the end, and it wasn't really. It had become not always fun to be there. Something we had hoped and wanted for, where we knew we get a lot of straight people in, and it's a good, diverse crowd. It started to take the opposite turn, where it's like it's mostly straight, and sometimes some of the people are paying attention to the show, and other people just want to come and party.
Ah.
So it was that kind of mixture, and I knew that it was going to close. Like I just was like, "There's no way." Like, and a new club had opened, a new gay bar called GQ, and I got a job there bartending, and because I was like, well, I need a job, and I don't think this club is going to is going to last, and it didn't,
But
or
but
close to it.
but so you never got that like final night. It just one day it was there and one day it wasn't.
No, and I think if my memory is correct, that there were a few of us that had gone to see the Eurythmics in New York City. They were doing a live concert, like a reunion concert, and we were in the hotel room after, and that's when we got the call that the club was closed.
Oh wow. Who called
So we
you?
just had this really great time at the show, and we're all great. And then we get back to the room, and I think I was probably Wendy that called me, and or called one of us, and or Marcella, somebody found out that was there, and we all kind of were just like, oh, wow, that really sucks, because it's like I'm out of a job, like, and I work there like 3 nights a week, and it was just sad. Like I knew it was going to close, but then to hear that it actually
Mm.
was officially closed. So no, we never got to do an ending night or a closing night or anything like that. But we did years later, many years later, at a club, Tilt nightclub in Rochester still. We did a Club Marcella reunion party. So all the queens came back except for Heather because she had passed away. But we did a tribute number to her in the beginning of the show. And so a lot of people that used to come to Marcella's was there. And it was a really great time because it was great to know how much people love this bar and what a great space it was, until the end. But it was great to have that. So we did get a final night, just years
Just
later.
years later. But yeah, so like that closing of the club just being so abrupt must have been a really odd shock to the system.
It was because it was definitely a family too, you know, even dysfunctional at times, like a lot of families are. But it was like, and we just knew everybody that worked there. We knew each other and the queens. And I think especially at that point, because I think all the queens were pretty much getting along. There was, you know, those little tussles, but I think we were getting along at a certain point. So it was that and like the bartenders and DJs. And it was like this family for like 9 years of my life, 8, 9 years. And so it's tough. It was tough to see it go. It was tough to see it go in the way that it went. And
And so like that's a pretty terrible note to leave this type of interview on. So let's not do that. What I'm going to ask you to do is cast your mind back to Pandora's very, very first performance at Marcella's. And you have the opportunity to speak to her as you are now. I feel like I'm making this more complicated than it should be. Anyway, you have the opportunity to talk to her now.
Okay.
What words of advice would you give her?
I would say, please do not take this so serious. The drama will not matter eventually. And just have fun with it and be yourself. And you're going to be good, kid.
And also you'll make more money if you're slutty. So like get ahead of that.
Yes, just be a slut, girl. Be the blonde slut you know you are. You'll make more money.
Oh, brilliant. Brilliant. Yes, I think that's advice that we should all take. Do you have any memories from Club Marcella or from your own queer scene that you want to share? Well, if you do, please get in touch. I want to create the biggest online record of people's memories and stories. Go to www.lostspacespodcast.com and find the section Share a Lost Space and tell me what you got up to. You can also find me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter as Lost Spaces Pod. For more on Pandora, check out her website, pandoraboxx.com, and make sure that you put 2 X's into that address, and follow her on Instagram as Pandora Boxx or Twitter as The Pandora Boxx. Some sneaky person must have taken the other handle. Lost Spaces is not only a podcast, but a concept record as well. I have been writing songs about queer venues and the people who used to live their lives there, and will be releasing songs over the next year. You can hear the first single, Well Groomed Boys, which is also playing underneath my talking right now, on all good streaming platforms. If you liked this episode, I would really appreciate if you subscribed, left a review on your podcast platform of choice, or just told people who you think might be interested in giving it a little listen too. I am Kay Anderson, and you have been listening to Lost Spaces.